China has around 25 million Muslims, half of whom are Hui Muslims,
descendants of Muslim traders from the Middle East and Central Asia who came to China 1,000 years ago. The Hui Muslims mainly reside in the northwestern and central part of China because it's geophysically closer to where their ancestors originally came from. But at the very bottom of China, on the southern tip of a tropical island, there are two Muslim villages. The Muslims have been living there for nearly 1,000 years. Who are they?
Are they different from the Hui Muslims? What's their food like?
Not long ago, I visited this Muslim village, got to experience the hospitality of the local people, learn about their fascinating stories, and try some delicious food.
So, let's dive in!
Hainan is a tropical island located in southern China. Known for its tropical climates, beautiful beaches, large landscapes, and vibrant tourism.
The island is often referred to as China's Hawaii.
The Muslim villages are located in Sanya, a resort destination at the southern tip of Hainan Island. Unlike the Hui Muslims, descendant of Arab and Persian traders, Hainan Muslims have a deep connection with Muslims in Malaysia and Indonesia. They speak a language that's quite similar to those still used in part of Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, and Indonesia.
And it's the only Austronesian language spoken in China. And the Malaysia former Prime Minister, whose maternal grandfather actually grew up in Sanya.
The story started with this kingdom, Champa. Champa was a powerful civilization that existed from the 2nd century. It was founded by the Cham people, who were of Austronesian origins and seafarers. It settled in what is now central and southern Vietnam.
To understand the rise and fall of the Champa kingdom, you need to understand how vital it was to the maritime Silk Road.
The maritime Silk Road connected the Middle East, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and all the way to China. If you look at this map, Champa was situated between Southeast Asia and China, making it a key location for merchants to come and go, or stay. Indian merchants arrived first, along with the influences of nearby Indianized kingdoms, turning the entire kingdom to practice Hinduism. Later, the Islam began to spread across Southeast Asia.
So, Arab traders and Indian Muslim merchants arrived in Champa, traded, married local women, established Islamic communities, and successfully converted a certain portion of population, especially in the coastal area, to Islam. Being an economic power along the Silk Road not only boosted Champa's wealth and power,
but also caught the attention of its northern neighbor, Viet, the ancient predecessor of modern Vietnam. Actually, starting from the 10th century, the conflicts and clashes between these two kingdoms continued for centuries over control of resources and trade routes. And eventually, in 1471, the Champa kingdom was defeated and severely weakened. During the time of conflicts and war, the Cham people had been leaving and migrating to other places. Those who lived inland fled to Cambodia. Those who lived along the coast fled to the Malay Peninsula and Hainan Island.
But back in the day, hundreds of years ago, the island was often used as a place of exiles for political prisoners.
So by the time the Cham people first arrived in Hainan, the local residents were the Li people, indigenous to the island, and those who had been banished. The Cham quickly settled down, built their community, practiced Islam, lived peacefully with the indigenous people, and called this new land home.
Nowadays, they live in 2 villages. The one I visited was Huixing.
When I visited, it was Ramadan. So we grabbed a coffee and chill. But waiting got a bit boring, so we decided to head to the village and see what we could do. The village is indeed very quiet. Most restaurants and eateries are closed, and owners and staff are hanging out in front of their restaurant. Clothing stores selling Islamic attire. Women wearing colorful hijabs that are beaded or embroidered. A style similar to head coverings worn by Muslim women in Malaysia and Indonesia. Electric scooters are the main modes of transportation in the city, just like everywhere else in Hainan. The naan and bread made with tamarind, along with the jackfruits and bananas, remind you of the tropical vibe you're in.
Surrounded by the sea, the early settler was relying on fishing for food. One of their signature dishes in the village is tamarind fish soup.
This is a sour and savory soup that was made with freshly caught fish, tamarinds, and starfruits, both native to the region.
And where the sour flavor came from? Although it's a household dish in the Chan Muslim community, it retains a very strong character of Hainanese cuisine.
Because of the humid tropical climate and rich natural environment, the Hainanese cuisine features tangy and umami flavors, with an emphasis on fresh ingredients, as you can see in this tamarind fish soup.
The process of making it is not complicated. You just put everything in order and season it with soy sauce, oyster sauce, and garlic. What makes it really unique is the ingredients, because you can't really find starfruit and tamarind elsewhere in China because they are tropical fruits. And also, the fish is always freshly caught. When the Chan people arrived on Hainan Islands, they settled in various regions. So how did they eventually settle in these two villages?
After the 11th century, a large number of Han Chinese migrated to Hainan Islands to seek better opportunities or to avoid political instability. The Cham, who lived in the northern part of the islands, were gradually assimilated. But those who lived in the southern parts were less assimilated because of the complex terrain, and there was more culture and ethnic diversity like the Li and Miao people.
The Chams lived peacefully with the indigenous Li people. And since they weren't very good at cultivating land,
they worked or hired the Li people to cultivate land and raise cattle. Besides tamarind fish soup, another famous dish is beef soup. It is a savory and hearty soup with pungency of green onions and spices from the peppers, usually paired with the coconut red sticky rice.
Some said the secret lies in the bones and hours of long simmering, but it actually lies in the freshness of the meat. The local told us that you can't really find the beef stew in the afternoon because the cattle are usually slaughtered in the early morning and used to make the soup that same day. So you can't really find the beef stew in the afternoon. And by the time you are there, it's already gone. The Chams lived peacefully with the indigenous Li people and Han Chinese for thousands of years, but their population was greatly reduced during the Second Sino-Japanese War.
Their homes and mosques were destroyed to make way for a Buryan airport. After the war, they rebuilt the mosque and started new lives in their current villages.
If you visit a Muslim village today, you'll not only see the descendants of the Chan Muslims,
but also Muslims from all over China seeking better weather and living conditions. While we were hanging out in the village and heading to the main mosque to see the iftar, the meal that Muslims eat to break their fast at sunset during the holy month of Ramadan,
something interesting happened.
We were yelled at as we entered the square. Not a mosque, the square, because we weren't dressed properly.
Like me, we met a very kind man who saw the whole scenes and told me that his wife could lend me some clothes.
So I went to their home and experienced the warm hospitality from the family. The wife lent me a beautiful dress and hat to cover my body and hair, and helped me dress up like this.
We were even treated to tea, fruit, snacks, even though they were still fasting. Very nice people. Meeting them was definitely the highlight of my trip. They told us they are Hui Muslims from the northern part of China and just moved to the village a month ago.
They said a lot of residents in the village are like them, having moved here because the weather is nicer and the nature is better. They said they're quite happy with life here. Although their ancestors come from different places than the locals, they all practice Islam and treat each other the same. Hui Muslims are the descendants of Arab and Persian traders who came to China thousands of years ago through the Silk Roads and married Han Chinese. They practice Islam and largely reside in the northern and northwestern parts of China.
Due to topography, they mostly eat flour-based beef dishes such as beef noodle soup, beef dumplings, and beef pancake.
Because the weather has attracted many Muslims from all over China to settle here, the restaurants and food in the village are quite diverse. The owner of this beef pancake is from the northwest of China, and the pancake was really crunchy and full of flavors. After getting changed, our new friend took us to the mosque, where we were able to look around and see people line up, waiting for an iftar. The food they offered was naan, beef rice noodles, and some meat.
We were invited to dining with the family, but we have to get to our next destination, so we regretfully declined.
However, meeting the whole family by accident and experiencing their warm hospitality was the highlight of my trip.
I'll always remember the kindness they offered, and I hope to return one day and get to try the beef soup. If you liked my video and want to know more about the stories behind the food and the people that bring them to life, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you there soon. Bye now.